Welcome, Coker Athletic fans, to the first episode of the Cobra Corner. We would like to take a minute to introduce ourselves. My name is Will Habel. I'm a media intern here at Coker University, as well as a member of the men's lacrosse team here. I am currently a junior, and I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. David?
My name is David Mack. I am the graduate assistant here in athletic media relations. I'm from Akron, Ohio, originally. Went to school in central/southeastern Ohio at Circleville at Ohio Christian University. Got my bachelor's degree in sport and business management, and I'm here at Coker, as a GA, doing my master's of science in sports administration, starting that here in a week. So yeah.
My name is James Colapetro. I am also known as JT around pretty much the campus and everything like that. I am the assistant director of athletics media relations. I'm from South Plainfield, New Jersey. I went to Keystone College for my undergrad and my master's, and got a undergrad in sports and rec management and got a master's in sports leadership management.
Well, that's us. We got a fantastic first show for you guys today. Sit back and then enjoy the show as we give you the latest and greatest updates from Coker University Athletics. Let's dive right into our weekly roundup, highlighting the key results and performances across various sports at Coker this past week. Men's lacrosse defeated Emmanuel 7-4 in the first game of the season, while honoring Garrett Backus with the opening of the Garrett Backus Fan Den. Being a part of the lacrosse scene, that was pretty cool to experience, seeing Garrett's family, all Garrett's past teammates come in the town. That was great to see. And then also with that win, Austin Ambrose gets his first win as a head coach. So shout out Coach Ambrose. And then also through that week, Michael Jensen, a.k.a. Red, received SAC Defensive Player of the Week in the first poll of the 2024 season. So good job, men's lacrosse.
Going up next, men's track and field was in action. And as Yazeare Garcia went ahead and actually broke the 60-meter record. He broke it in their last meet. However, ironically, the week before that, he actually broke it again. So the original record was 6.84, and Yazeare went ahead. He ran a 6.81, and then the next meet that they competed at that season, or the next week that they competed, he went ahead, he tied the record again at 6.81, and then he had one more race on the day. He went ahead, he tied that record, as I said earlier in the day, and then he broke the record at 6.80. So Yazeare back-to-back weeks of breaking the school record for track and field in the 60-meter dash indoor.
Yeah, and then moving on outside, back outside to baseball. We had 3 games this week that we're going to highlight. The first being Belmont Abbey, which was the first game of the year and our home opener. Belmont Abbey is the opponent on the day, and they were actually last year an Elite 8 finisher. So that was a pretty big game to start off the season, and they had to come here. And, Coker's always a hard place to play. And we handled them pretty steadily, 8-2. Got a lot of hits off of them, and our pitching staff held down the defense, and it was a great game to watch for sure. My first game there with baseball. The second game, arguably even more impressive, number 20 ranked in the country in Division II, Mount Olive, came to town, and I think we led just about every single inning of that game. We're up 3-1 going into ninth, and Tyler Satterley got the win in that one. Landon Reeves came in the ninth and picked up the save, held strong, and we won 3-2. So that was a big win here at Coker. And then that just a few days later, we beat Chowan 6-5. Jacob Hardy picks up the win, and he came into the game with the game tied. And in the ninth inning, he went 3 up, 3 down, got 2 strikeouts in the ninth, and then the last out, he had 2 strikes on the batter, and then the batter popped up, and Jacob Yarberry recorded the final out, and he actually secured the win and the final out against Mount Olive and Belmont Abbey. So that was huge for both of those games, and they are currently undefeated at home. So when you come and play Coker here, expect a fight. No matter who you are, where you're ranked, or where you finished in the tournament last year, we're always going to give you a fight here at Coker.
Absolutely, and it was something that we were talking about in the booth beforehand and everything like that. For Mount Olive, that was actually their first game of the year, ironically. And we say it all the time in the booth. And what's it called? Pretty much, if you're opening the season at Coker, that's going to be one of your toughest tasks and everything like that. But speaking of opening the season and everything like that, softball actually opened up their season around that time as well. They were actually on the road at Fayetteville State, and gentlemen, they handled business. A combined 23 runs, 15-8 or 15-1 in the first game, and then 8-1 in the second game. Highlights of that: Caitlin Ray and Abbey McCants both hit a home run for the Cobras and everything like that. And Coker dominated. First game ended in the first inning, and then the second game went ahead. It went 7, but there wasn't a point that Coker was not leading. And for that second game, I mean, Cheyenne Palmer and Tibby Hessian in both combined for 5 strikeouts. Tibby not allowing a hit, a run, an error, or a walk pretty much went perfect in her relief appearance. So huge win for them. And then another big win that they had recently. They had their home opener at home against Francis Marion and Grayson and Chambliss. They just went ahead, hit her first home run. Coker won that game 8-2. Maddie Andrews put on a performance. 7 innings, complete game, 4 hits allowed. Only 2 runs came across. One of them earned 3 strikeouts on the day for Maddie Andrews. So softball starting off very hot this year so far.
Yeah, and everybody around here kind of knows how important getting a win against FMU is, rival. Although they're not in our conference, we play them in just about every sport during the beginning of the season in non-conference play. So big win, always to beat FMU. And moving right into, a sport that gets less recognized, unfortunately. But I wanted to make sure that we highlighted it. I myself played tennis in college, and so I want to make sure we get a light shined on our tennis team, specifically this time around the women's tennis team. They're currently 2-0. They got a victory over Lander 6-1, and a victory over Augusta this past week 5-2. Our first singles player, Jade Bellegy, she won the SAC Women's Tennis Player of the Week last week, going combined 4-0 at first singles and first doubles. She's a transfer from St. Leo down in Florida, so she's come up here and started off the season phenomenally here for the Cobras, and we hope to see her continued success throughout the season. Love to see her pop up in some rankings and do well heading into conference play. Speaking of, getting wins over FMU, they play FMU here at Coker, at the Coker tennis courts, at 3:00 tomorrow, Tuesday. So, head on out and catch that and catch some men's lacrosse action at 3:00 over there as well. Both right next to each other. Big games.
Yeah, softball for fans who are wondering, softball actually got moved to Thursday against Mount Olive. So it was supposed to be 3 games at home, but due to inclement weather, softball is now going to be on Thursday, which, again, you'd love to see because obviously, everything being spread out and everything like that, this way you can get as many fan base as possible. So
correct. And you get Coker athletics action at home every single day this week except for Monday. So there's games for you to come out and watch this entire week wherever you are. Come to Coker and catch some action.
Yeah, we definitely need that. Yeah, definitely want to see that hostile environment because when Coker is rocking, I mean, we say it all the time. I say it all the time for that matter. When you get a hostile environment, it is probably one of the hardest places, and we've seen over the past couple months and everything like that, when Coker becomes that hostile environment, and let me tell you, it is impossible to hear here, and it is impossible to play here. So definitely want to get out here and check out all athletics this week. And again, especially with a couple of sports coming down to the wire. But, Will, another sport that just opened up this week.
Yeah, going back inside, we got Acro defeating Converse in the first meet of the year, 159-point 245 to 151.020. Most of you may not know much about acrobatics and tumbling, but growing up, my sister played, or my sister did competition cheer. So going back and seeing that was kind of cool. I haven't seen it in a couple years or so. So definitely get out and watch it. It's really interesting. It's not your everyday cheerleading. They do pyramids, stunts, flips, whole 9 yards. Really get out and check them out. It's really cool to watch.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. So I personally had never done anything with acro and tumbling, but I actually did PA for them during the meet and got to see for the first time a full acrobatics and tumbling meet. And what those girls do is impressive nonetheless. I mean, to say the least, it's phenomenal to see what they do. And it's such me not knowing anything about it, I was able to watch and enjoy it still. So even if you know nothing about it, even if you don't know what it's about, come see what it's about. They've got a meet on Friday at 3:00. It's a tri-meet. It's Francis Marion and Belmont Abbey, I believe, are coming into town, and I'll be there. Most of us will be there, and so come out, check it out, and see what it's about. It's an awesome sport.
I feel like beginning of the year, we're always talking about Francis Marion being in action with Coker, whether we're on the road to them or we're over here. But funny to mention with acro and tumbling and everything like that, and something that I'm surprised neither of you mentioned. If you want a team to go watch and everything like that, number 12 in the nation, and they were ranked in the preseason poll.
That's right. Yep.
Well, so obviously, come watch every Coker athletic and everything like that. But again, acro and tumbling, again, to see what those girls do and everything like that. I was at softball the other day, but I was able to catch a little bit of it during the live stream and everything like that in between innings, and was getting scoring updates from Dr. Lynn. And let me tell you, it is impressive to see. And let me tell you, those girls, from what I saw, were locked from the get-go. So it is definitely going to be a sport that you guys want to go out there and check out, especially if you are a first-time watcher, if you will, of acro and tumbling. But staying indoors, I think we got women's basketball.
Yeah, we had women's basketball get the win over Wingate, 68-58. And then they went right back and did it last night, I believe, or Saturday night.
Saturday
Against
afternoon. Yep.
79-60. Pretty commanding win over SAC competitor Emory and Henry. Dasia Lambert had 22 points and went 6 for 11 from 3. And then Kamari Thompson had a huge double-double against ENH as well, recording 22 points and 15 boards. And now going to the men's side.
Yeah, no, actually, just circling back on that to touch on Kamari Thompson and everything like that real quick. I don't mean to go back and everything, but the thing to mention with Kamari Thompson, she's been in the top 3 for rebounds in the NCAA, like offensive rebounds, pretty much all season and everything like that. And the one thing that I feel like we were saying the other day, she's a freshman, gentleman, and I don't think there's anything. It just shows you what kind of talent is going to be showing up over the next 3 or 4 years here at Coker with Kamari. He pretty much, what a force for Coach Mel and Coach Reg Edge to be having, especially, again, this early into the season and everything like that, especially this late with playoffs about 3-4 weeks away.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see. So my my second day here, I moved down here from Ohio on January 4th, and we had some games here January 5th. I got to sit up with John Hackney, who's our head men's and women's golf coach, who does the play-by-play for our men's and women's games usually. And when I was talking to him and kind of getting to know the programs a little bit, she was one of the first names that was mentioned because apparently, she came into this and was going to be like a third string big, and nobody really knew much about her. They kind of threw out a flyer on her, took a chance in recruiting, and she wasn't even supposed to play, but some injuries at her position for the year kind of forced her into action, and man, did they get a steal in Kamari Thompson. They didn't even come in. she wasn't even expected to come in and play. And then with that expectation and exceeding it ginormously, you said top 3 in the country in offensive rebounds.
She's currently tied. She's currently tied for number 2, actually, right now, actually, as it stands. She's tied for 2nd in the nation, and she has not left that top 4. Or I think she was at number 4 for like a day or something like that. And then pretty much she's been either number 1. She's either been number 1, number 2, or number 3, and there has been no stopping Kamari. And I mean, we saw it. I mean, what was it? 16, 15 rebounds the other day against
15, yeah.
15 against Emory and Henry. And the fact that she's also, I think she's up there in double doubles and everything like that is unbelievable, seriously.
Yeah, so 0 expectations coming in, and then the bar was set low, but she took that bar, put it up high, and we expect now great things from her in her next 3 years here at Coker. But moving on to men's basketball, JT, let's check it out.
Yeah, real quick, just stat correcting myself. I'm sorry, don't mean to. What's it called? That was actually her 10th double-double on the day, and she's 16th in the nation. But yeah, men's basketball as well, as you guys were saying. I mean, 2 records in a week. Like, what else do you want from men's track and field? Seriously, I don't think you can. Or from men's basketball, excuse me. Track and field is warming up and practicing outside. But nonetheless, though, set 2 school records. Most 3 points made 8 in a game by a team. They did that against Wingate, and then Andre Lavelle. What can't we say about the Ohio product? I know, David, you're gonna have a lot to say about him. Got the last Got the last bucket in the game against Emory and Henry in a beautiful, I think it was 360 layup.
Oh, it was a 360 lay for sure.
It was a 360 layup with like 5.2 seconds to go. Lays it up against Emory and Henry. He was at 40 points. He was tied with the record, but that layup got him 42 points, which actually broke the school record for most points in a single game. So, huge week for men's basketball. And again, with about 3 or 4 weeks going and everything like that to the rest of the, with 3 or 4 weeks going back into the remaining of the schedule, it is going to be a doozy to watch, especially with action coming up on Wednesday. I think Wednesday they have Mars Hill coming to town, so that's going to be a fun one to watch as always.
Yeah, and like you said, I do have a lot to say about Andre Lavelle. So he's a Canton, Ohio product, and you know him and I don't think we know each other very well, but interesting enough, he's been a journeyman here through college basketball. So he started his career at Kent State Tuscarawas in Tuscarawas, Ohio, which is Eastern Ohio, one of the Kent State off branches, and then so when he was there, he actually played my alma mater, Ohio Christian. He then transferred from Kent State Tuscarawas to Ohio Valley, and then that year, Ohio Valley used to be in the NCAA D2 in the GMAC conference, which is a lot of Ohio area schools, Malone, Walsh, Tiffin, there, all those schools. So I know that conference very well. They actually moved into the NAIA, into the River States Conference, which is where Ohio Christian plays at. And then he played there for half a year, and unfortunately, Ohio Valley shut down their operations, so he was kind of forced out of there after December, and so he scored some points there, and then took the year off, and then went to Arkansas Tech, which is where he was before Coker. And then he transferred here into this program. So, I've gotten to see him play when he was at Ohio Valley, when he was at Kent State Tuscarawas, and the growth from high school. He played in the Canton area, and I don't think I ever got to see him in high school, but in his first 2 years of college to what he has now is ridiculous. I mean, he was on the Bevo Francis top 100 watch list. Unfortunately, they whittled that down, and he didn't make the cut, but he sure should have after what he's been doing the past couple weeks. And then to break the school record, and not only break the school record, but break it in front of the guy that held the record or held part of the record. it is insane. The guy that had it was Andy Robinson. He set it in 1984 against St. Andrews, and him and Liam Kyle, who matched that mark in 2011 against Morris, they held a share of that record. And Andy was in attendance for the game against Emory and Henry. It was Hall of Fame day, which we'll get to here in a little bit, but they transitioned, and at the end of the game, Andy was actually right behind us at the scorer's table, and he was chatting a little bit, and he was like, "Oh, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. He's not going to break my record." And then with time expiring, I think he got a steal with about
it was off the throw in from Emory. We scored. Emory and Henry had to throw in. They lobbed it up midcourt. Andre said, "Give me that," and then hit 360 lay for the record, which is insane.
It truly was insane. Like, the place actually went unglued. And another accomplishment to mention with Andre, this isn't the first, personal accomplishment he got. He hit 1,000 points
earlier in the season. Yeah.
Back in winter semester and everything like that. So, again, I don't think you could say anything bad about Andre Lavelle. Matter of fact, about anything bad about this men's basketball team, because honestly, this team has come in, men's and women's basketball, wrestling. You wanna talk about a team that has been extremely difficult to play, and you want to talk about teams that have made teams play spoiler and everything like that. Look no further than Coker Athletics. I mean, it is a case of this is a team that in Coker men's basketball, and going back to them specifically, I mean, literally 2 games in a row. We want to talk about Yazeare going back-to-back weeks and everything like that, breaking the indoor track 60-meter record. Let's not forget, men's basketball broke the most points in a single game. The original record, I believe, was 115. They broke it at 118. The next game, men's basketball went out, broke it at 120. Yeah. So it's a case of, a history-making season for the Cobras in all the right ways. It does not stop no matter what area you're looking, whether it's track, cross country, soccer, or for that matter, or softball, baseball. I mean, everything is just starting, and everybody is going in full effect right now. And it is a beautiful thing to see, gentlemen.
Yeah. Not to mention, this is also Michael Lamberty.
Yeah, Michael Lamberty.
Michael Lamberty's first year as Coker University head coach, and the turnaround from last year that Michael has been able to do with this team is phenomenal. I'm looking back on it right now. They're 12-10 this season. It's 8-6 in conference, and then last year I believe we were 4-12, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just an incredible job by Michael and his staff.
Yeah, and a great thing that Michael, he's a West Lib guy, so interesting connection that I had with him previously was that him and I did not know each other before I got here, but one of my great friends, Cam Primer, at Ohio Christian, he's on the men's basketball team there. His older brother played basketball at West Lib with Mike Lamberty, and so we had a little bit of connection there. He had heard about me before I even got on campus, and we've gotten to connect a little bit, and he's a great guy, a phenomenal basketball mind, and we're lucky to have him on staff here at Coker. What he's done with this team this season is great, and I can't wait to see, the direction that he takes this program in. I expect really, really big things in the coming years with Mike Lamberty at the helm.
And, you also can't take away what Coach Mel has done with that women's program. Beginning of the season, I think they started out, it was 11-0, 12-0 before they picked up their first loss and didn't pick up. And I don't think they've lost at home. If they did, I think it was their last one. 8-5 at home. Actually, it was on the road. My fault. They were 5-0 on the road before they picked up their first loss. So both Coach Lamberty and Coach Mel doing a great job. Women sitting at the 7th spot in the SAC standings, and men sitting at 5th. And again, David, to your point and everything like that, you look at what both teams have done. Coach Lamberty, Coach Greg, Coach Cole. Well, even again, even Coach Reggie and Coach Mel, the one thing that they both do, all of the basketball coaches do, and you rarely see this in any basketball. They want you to get involved. They want the crowd involved. You'll see it with Coach Lambert. He'll literally, I saw it the other day. I was on play-by-play for the Emory and Henry game. I think it became like a 3-point game or something like that. And they had just gotten a huge steal and a fast break turnover. He was fired up. The crowd was fired up. You literally saw him turn to the student section. You saw him turn around, and he was waving his arm up. He was waving everybody up. And again, it's the same thing. Coach Mel's done that a couple of times this season as well. And the scary thing to think about is that it's those interactions that you rarely see that get the crowds going, because once they see the energy, and it's the same thing with a bench mentality. Once you see all that from a head coaching perspective as well as an assistant coach's perspective, game over, gentlemen. Like, I don't think I've seen a lot of teams who have come into hostile playing environments and have had success, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, when this play, I said it before and I'll say it again, when this place is rocking and when this place wants to be one of the toughest places to play, I think this is probably one of the toughest places to play in Division II, to be honest with you, because of the fact of how interactive all coaches are and how everybody wants the crowd to get on their side. And when it's on their side, it is a beautiful thing, gentlemen.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a segue here, but yeah, to piggyback off that, when the coaches bring the energy, when the starting five brings the energy, when the bench pieces bring the energy, it's so much easier for the crowd to get into the games. And then the energy it's a cycle. Everybody feeds into everybody, and it builds and builds and builds and builds. And in a game like that, especially with the men when it was close late, it is so important for everybody, not just the players, not just the bench, but the staff, the guys in the crowd. You know, it's so important for them to be in the game. Everybody feeds off everybody. It's such a great environment here at Coker. But mentioning going from basketball, actually at the halftime of the women's game, we honored 4 new inductees to the 2024 Coker Athletics Hall of Fame. And I just wanted to highlight each of them and touch on them. You know, they kind of got their moment Saturday night when they were inducted and they received their plaques and got their pictures and everything. It was a nice dinner. But, you know, I wanted to touch on them a little bit more because I think they deserve even more of their flowers. It is really hard for an athlete to get into the Coker Hall of Fame. They don't just hand those things out. If you had an okay year, even if you had a good to great year, you know, these 4 people have had such an impact on Coker that you know, I'll say their accomplishments. You'll be like, wow, that's a great career. Why were they not already in the Hall of Fame? And it's because it's so hard to get into the Hall of Fame. So these guys, their accomplishments, you know, they mean a lot. And so the first guy that I'll mention was a 91 graduate from Coker, Patrick Brooks. He was on the men's soccer team. He was a great athlete on the field, but his main thing was his mind and how smart he was and how well he did in the classroom. He was Coker's first 2-time academic All-American. He was a 3-time NAIA District 6 academic All-District Team selection, a 2-time Coker Academic Athlete of the Year. And then on the field side of it, he started nearly every game as a defender for the Cobras. He scored 2 goals and 3 assists in his career, which doesn't really pop out to most people, but you know, he was a defender. His main job was to be active on defense and then send the ball up to the midfield and let those guys, you know, the midfield and the attack do the work on the offensive end, but he held it down defensively. And when you start nearly every game in your career on defense, that shows exactly how solid you were, that they relied on you that many games to make plays. He went on back to the academics. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Business here from Coker, and then he went to the Brantley School of Risk Management and Insurance at Appalachian State. He graduated as the program's top graduate from Appalachian State. So he was the number one graduate in terms of GPA and how well he did in that program. He's a certified financial planner now and the owner of Independent Investment Services, LLC in Savannah, Georgia. I think, another thing that's not on here that I remember reading in the script was that he was named, I think, in the 40 under 40 business owners in Savannah a while back. So that just shows you how, coming from Coker and translating the success he had in the classroom, the success he had on the field to success in life. And, great guy. And Patrick Brooks, I wish I would have had a little more of a time to sit down and talk with him. But moving on, we were on the subject of men's basketball. A guy that had so much impact on the court for the Coker Cobras back in the 80s was Kelvin Brown. He graduated in 1985. He was the CG Timberlake Athlete of the Year in 85 and a first-team All-District 6 selection, which for those of you that don't know, being an All-District 6 selection back then, this is something they talked about at the Hall of Fame ceremony. That was a huge honor to be named first team, because if you were a first-team All-District 6 selection, you were up there with Division I athletes. And he said that he actually wanted to go to Georgia before he came here, and he was good enough to play with the Georgia Bulldogs men's basketball team, but he ended up here with Coker, and so that just kind of shows the level of talent that was brought in that year. He holds the career record for assists with 726 assists, which is insane. That's averaging in his career, I believe, around 6 or 7 assists a game, which is ridiculous to say. And then he has the single game record for assists as well, with 18 assists in a game, which is nuts. Having 18 assists, having 10 assists is impressive. Having 13, 14, 15 is impressive, but having 18 in a game is ridiculous. And it's ironic that we were talking about the scoring record earlier. That 18 assist game was the same game that his teammate that was also in attendance to watch the scoring record be broken against Emory and Henry. They broke that record in the same game. So one guy was scoring and the other guy was passing him the ball, and they both broke records together, which was awesome. But he graduated from Coker in 85, and then he joined the U.S. Army and spent 30 years in law enforcement in California. And he's currently involved in real estate and is an active member of his church and community in Salinas, California. Wanted to touch on him, wanted to spend some time on him. But moving on to another basketball player, in Karen Pinkney Floyd. She is a native of Okeechobee, South Carolina, and was a standout member of the women's basketball team for the Cobras. She was the all-time scoring leader from 1996 to 2006. She's currently second all-time on that list. She has 1,372 career points, which is just outstanding. She also set a single-season record for three-point field goals made with 76 during the 93-94 season, which is also ridiculous. A joke that she made during her speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony was that she was sure not known for her defense. She was all offensive, and boy, could she light it up during her years. She was an all-conference selection, named to the Mars Hill University Tournament All-Tournament team. She was a 4-time Dean's List honoree, and then she earned her Bachelor of Arts in Education, and she's been teaching and coaching ever since then. She was the athletic director at St. Gregory, the great Catholic school. She founded those schools' athletic programs, and she currently is a theology teacher and basketball coach at John Paul II Catholic School in Ridgeland, South Carolina. And then our last guy is Lou Warner, who was on the 1994 Coker baseball team that advanced the NAIA World Series. That team is actually, as a team, in the Coker Hall of Fame. So this is one of the few athletes to be inducted into the Hall of Fame as an individual and as a member of a team, which is just phenomenal. Individually, in terms of his accomplishments, he is the only Cobra baseball player to receive All-American honors twice, earning it in 94 and 95. To earn All-American honors in general is just a crazy feat. And then to do it twice in a row in back-to-back years is ridiculous. He had an impressive career batting .292 with 48 runs scored, 30 doubles, 6 triples, 9 home runs, and 77 RBIs. After graduating from Coker, he founded Warner's Athletic Construction Company, which specializes in athletic field construction, renovation, and maintenance. He's considered an expert authority in the industry and has worked on numerous projects for major university sports facilities. He is on the board of trustees here at Coker. Warner's Athletic has actually done some work on the facilities here at Coker. And another thing that is not on here but was mentioned previously is that he was actually part of the MLB All-Star grounds crew at Minute Maid Park a while ago, which is an awesome thing to be able to say as well. So I know that it took a little bit for us to get through those 4 Hall of Fame nominees, but I wanted to make sure that each one of them got their flowers that they deserve because, like I said previously, and like I'll say again, being in the Coker Hall of Fame is not just something that gets given. It is earned through and through and through, whether it's in the classroom, more so like Mr. Brooks. I mean, he was also phenomenal on the field, don't get me wrong. Or, more of the see like the records, the averages and, all that other stuff. If you are in the Coker Hall of Fame, you are a phenomenal student athlete. So just wanted to make sure they got their flowers.
Yeah, great. Going on that, breaking news, Andre Lavelle has been named SAC Player of the Week with his outstanding performance on Saturday night. So I just want to put that out there before we go into our weekly or next week's games or this week now. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and ironically, to bring that up, just to piggyback off that, I believe that's Andre's second or third time being named SAC Player of the Week. So
multiple award winner in that category. What a season he's had here with the Cobras, and I think I actually was making the graphic. I just made the graphic for that post that'll be going out here in a little bit. 42 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, 4 steals in that game.
So that was something that I was actually wondering the other day. I was wondering if he got a triple-double because I was tallying everything
close.
up.
2 rebounds away from a 40-point triple-double that would have broke the school record and gotten a triple-double. I mean, it's ridiculous how well he's been doing, not just this game, but all season consistently. I mean, this points average is over 21 at this point. He's been doing phenomenal. So, yeah, it's great to touch on him again because you can't say enough great things about Andre Lavelle.
And speaking of Coker men's basketball, finally over that 100-point marker, 100 officially. They're still at number 4 in the nation for scoring offense, but 100.5 points averaging per game. So finally over that 100-point marker. Weekly update for you guys, weekly schedule, and what's coming up this week for you to wrap up episode 1 of what's been a fantastic podcast, gentlemen. Seriously, what a great start. So, yeah, kicking off everything with men's golf is going to be in action today. They've actually kicked off their spring season probably earlier this morning, I would imagine. And so they're at their spring kickoff right now for men's golf. So glad to see they're getting underway.
And that will continue into Tuesday as well. As David mentioned earlier in the podcast, we have men's and women's tennis versus crosstown rival Francis Marion at 3 o'clock on Tuesday. And at the same time, right behind them on the turf, we got men's lacrosse versus Barton. Should be a really good game. Men's lacrosse coming off a tough loss against Lander, looked to rebound against Barton. Be a great game. It was always competitive when we play them. And then after that, too, we have baseball at Lander at 5 p.m.
Yeah, and moving on to our mid to end of the week kind of schedule and what's going on. Baseball is back at it. They play Chowan again, this time on the road. That's at 1 o'clock. And then Wednesday night here, men's and women's basketball is back at home again. They were gone for 2 weeks, then they had the game on Saturday, and now they've got these Wednesday night games here at Coker. 5:30 women, 7:30 men, both playing conference rival Mars Hill. So get out and get loud for those games. Those are always great games with both those basketball teams, as we kind of touched on earlier in the podcast. Thursday, we originally had no games, but so we've had some rainy weather here on Monday, and it's rained pretty consistently throughout the day. So the softball field is not going to be playable for tomorrow. So we've moved those games to Thursday. Same times, 1 and 3:30, and same opponent, Mount Olive. So get out for 2 7-inning games in softball, both a doubleheader against Mount Olive. We want to see you there, Coker, and we want to see you get loud. Friday, moving on to Friday, we've got a couple things going on. Baseball is here at home against Emory and Henry. That starts conference play, I believe, for them. And then I think these are another home thing going on earlier in the day. So that's at 4 o'clock. At 3 o'clock is Acro. They've got their tri-meet, which is something that we touched on earlier in the podcast. Also, they're playing Belmont, Abbey, and Francis Marion. And so that's, like I said previously when talking about Acro, is that even if you don't know much about it, and even if you've never watched it a day in your life, come out, see what it's all about. It's statistically, it's the fastest growing women's sport, collegiate sport in the country, according to their studies and stuff like that. So it's great to watch a growing sport like that, get in on it early and follow it through the season here at Coker. Really exciting. And then with men's and women's tennis, they are on the road and they're at the USC Sumter Invitational. So they're going to get some tournament play in and some match play, some in their brackets on Friday. Like I said, I've been a tennis guy since my early high school days, and I'm looking forward to see how they do. The women's team starting off 2-0 on the season, the men's team, although they haven't been able to put something together in terms of a win, they are playing phenomenally. They played their first match of the year. They played number 13 in the country, Lander, and they had, I think, 3 singles matches go 3 sets, which those of you that don't know tennis, going 3 sets means that you were very, very evenly matched, and that could have gone either way. And talking to Coach Tom Simpson, he said that there was a point in time during that match that he thought that they could have won 4-3 instead of losing 7-0. So, keep up with that, and then we'll move on to Saturday with Will.
Yeah, so we got men's track and field at the USC Indoor Open there with the women as well, and then we got another men's lacrosse matchup against North Greenville. I know for sure the boys are coming back for revenge. Last year we played them and we lost in overtime, so I'm sure they'll have a little fire from that one. And then we got baseball at baseball versus Emory and Henry at 12 and 3. So we got a doubleheader here in Hartsville. As well, we have a softball against North Greenville, doubleheader 1 and 3, also here in Hartsville. And then to wrap up the weekend, we got men's and women's basketball at Catawba, women's at 2, and men are at 4. So that will just about do it here on the first episode of the Cobra Corner. We hope that you enjoyed the show. We can't wait to see you supporting Coker Athletics in the stands or online. Remember, your passion and your support for all these teams really do make a difference. So keep cheering, be loud, and let's go Cobras. Thank you, everybody.